All right. So I welcome you. Thanks for being here, especially as there's this exciting presentation of the next Open Source conference in the other room, which I personally would have loved to attend. And tell you what, we had our conference in The Hague a couple of years ago, and it's lovely. So if you happen to have time next spring to go to the conference, go there. The Hague is a nice city. Let me start by making a picture of you, if that's okay for you. If not, you better hide. And I want you to be all excited, right? It's a GNOME thing, and we're all excited about GNOME, right? So if you can cheer and be happy for GNOME to be here, show appreciation. Say, yay, woo! Oh, you're awesome. Thank you very much. Lovely. There we go. So I'm here for GNOME, or to present GNOME. And we've just released GNOME 3.12, like 5, maybe 6 weeks ago. So it's relatively new. And I am Toby. On the lower right-hand side, you can see my name. I'm one of the directors of the board of the GNOME Foundation. And I want to, talk with you about GNOME, GNOME 3, GNOME 3.0, and, in particular, GNOME 3.12. And while I like talking, I like to hear myself. I also, want to engage with you. So if you have any comment or any question, or just, want to make a remark, make yourself heard. And I'll try to, see you, and I'll try to engage with you. If I don't, see you, or if I don't engage with you, it's most likely not the case that I don't like you. It's just that I don't see you. So just shout in case you have anything to say. So GNOME itself, let me start by talking about GNOME. Now that I see that, I brought things, right? I brought swag. So if you happen to have a smart question, a question that I like, then you may be able to receive some swag that I brought. So that again, an encouragement to engage. Right? So GNOME, what is GNOME? You can ask. Well, first and foremost, you probably do know that it's a desktop environment, whatever that means, right? So when you start your computer, the things you see, that certainly is GNOME. But GNOME is much more, right? We have the foundation within GNOME, which takes care of fostering free software and GNOME in particular. GNOME itself is a community, so if you want to make something happen, if you want to spread the word about free software, if you want to, enable your local community to do computing, then GNOME is a community for you. GNOME is a bigger project than the desktop environment itself. We have things like OS3, or our translation infrastructure is not only being used for GNOME projects. All right, I just had an interrupt in my on my desktop. I was surprised to see that. Sorry. So GNOME, is many things, but we are here to talk mainly about the desktop environment. We can talk about other things. Yes, I am more on the governance side of GNOME, so I'm not that much of a technical person. So we can also talk about these things. Especially recently, we've hit the news with having a tiny financial problem. But let's talk about the desktop environment first. GNOME 3 is our newest effort in bringing more free software to more people. It's been launched, or the efforts have been launched in 2008, and we've made a release in 2011. And that stirred up some, comments, say, as, with GNOME 3, paradigms have been refreshed, say, and new ways and methods of interacting with your computer have been introduced. So I came up with GNOME 3.0 in 2011, and by now we're at GNOME 3.12, which is the latest and greatest release that we've made so far, I think. And, if you start GNOME 3, the first thing that you might notice is its elegant design. We try to be unintrusive, we try to not get in your way, we try to enable you to be as efficient as possible when you use your computer. Thinking that when you do use your computer, you do not use that, for the sake of using the computer, but to actually do anything with it, or to do something with it. Right? You don't, at least people I know, they don't sit in front of the computer because they like they like to sit in front of the computer, but they need to do, I don't know, Facebook or accounting or things like that. And we try to enable you to do that as efficiently as possible. So this is probably what most people see when they start GNOME, right? They start the browser immediately because that's what you do nowadays. And this is what it would look like. If you then want to start, say, more or different applications, you would get into the activities overview, which looks something like that. And we try to make you, or to enable you to access the most important things, well, the easiest way possible, the way we think is that way. So this is the activities overview. You see your open applications, or rather windows thereof, and you have your favorite applications on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side you have like different virtual desktops. If you use the GNOME desktop for a while, you will see notifications. We introduced a new notification system that tries to not get in your way, that you can configure, well, based on your needs. You can say, well, I don't want notifications right now because I'm really busy and I don't want to be, I don't know, interrupted by a chat message or by a new installation of a program. So again, we try to get out of your way. We try to enable you to be as efficient as possible with your task at hand. These notifications can also be interacted with, which is something I really like. It boosts my productivity, sorry. So when you have those notifications, some of them can be interacted with, right? And well, in this example, you can just type your message as a reply from an incoming message, but you could also control your music, for example. What you will also notice is that we have a desktop search, which, well, first of all, searches the applications you have installed, right? So you want to install an application, you hit the, you want to launch an application, you hit the super key, or the Windows key, whatever, and then you type, well, the application you want to start, if you do not select it from the left-hand side. And it not only searches the name of the application, but also the description, which I think is really, really cool. Because I, for one, when I have a new installation, I always start by setting a keyboard shortcut like Ctrl-Alt-T to fire up a terminal. And I never can remember what program it actually is that sets the shortcuts. So I just fire up the activities overview, type shortcut, and it brings me the correct thing to open because it also searches the description of the programs at hand. So that's very handy. And it's not only applications and their description, it's also, well, other things that you can well, install and configure. Like in this example, we have files or software in here. So these search providers allow you to, well, also search your contacts, say, or calendar entries and things like that. So this is really, for me at least, this is really handy because I can just type whatever I want and then it'll probably come up with the correct thing that I want to access. But there's much more to GNOME 3. So when we launched GNOME 3, we had a revamped help system, again hoping to, well, to reach the greatest number of people to do their computing. So traditionally, the help was a flat linear file, right? A document that you would read from top to bottom. And with the new help system, it's topic based. So when you launch the help for your chat application, for example, it could present you with a question like, do you want to send a file? And then you can click that and you can get help on that topic. So you can browse your way through the help, well, based on a topic by topic, topic by topic rather than from top to bottom. And there's many small things that we think improve your day-to-day usage of your computer. In fact, well, while we have brought new technologies, we built on our old libraries still, right? So, well, having a new face, the code itself has not changed 100%. So we have made many improvements that we think are better or enable people to use their computer better. As we all know, our code can be, like the libraries we have, can be used from pretty much any language, which is actually exciting if you think about it. So we have a G-object introspection, which enables you to use the libraries from, say, Python or JavaScript, or any other language if you can provide the transition for the G-object introspection. That's actually cool. So that allows you to write your GNOME application or to use the GNOME libraries from, well, the language you use, right? From the language you know. And we've actually made JavaScript the default language now for new applications. And combined with the CSS theming, we hope to be able to attract, well, more people who already know these languages. And it turned out, as we will well, dive into later, that this actually helped, well, to bring more people to the GNOME desktop. So if you happen to know JavaScript and CSS already, then give it a try. It's actually, well, it's an interesting choice, and it should make it easy to start to hack on the GNOME platform, or to actually write GNOME software. So we achieve all that, like the usability improvements and all, we do use 3D acceleration. Now, as we are in the free software world, unfortunately, not every, well, say, device does have accelerated 3D graphics, right? Or did not used to have, at least. We used to have a so-called fallback mode, but we've dropped that in 3.8. And if you do run GNOME 3.12 now on hardware that is known to not provide proper, or is not capable of running 3D on your graphics card, it will use software rendering. So you can use the same GNOME 3 experience on pretty much any device. So that's actually cool. It uses LLVM pipe to render the 3D operations in software. If you want to have the more traditional experience, like the old, well, in the old GNOME days, then we have a GNOME Flashback, I think it's called nowadays. I was thinking whether it's called GNOME Classic or GNOME Flashback, but I think GNOME Classic is what Ubuntu calls it. And that's essentially, the GNOME Flashback is essentially, well, GNOME 3, GNOME Shell, but with a bunch of extensions to make it appear, well, as if it was an older GNOME, or it has the older GNOME user experience. And that actually shows the capability of the platform, right? So you can stuff in a bunch of extensions and you can adapt and change it to your liking, which is quite cool. If you want to give it a try, there's several ways to actually do it. One of, well, maybe the easiest is to get an image from our servers. I think we also have virtual machine images in case you want to run it in your virtual machines well directly. And if you do try it and you find something that you do not like, then, as I've mentioned, try one of the extensions we have. We have this amazing website, extensions.gnome.org, and it lists, I actually don't know how many thousand extensions, but there's many, many extensions that change your desktop, well, and hopefully make it, enable you to use GNOME much more efficiently. And as I've said already, extensions are basically JavaScript files. So that allowed many people to write these extensions. And if you find anything that you think should be different within the GNOME shell or GNOME user experience, you can go to the extensions website and check whether there is an extension that does that already. The likelihood is actually quite high. And in fact, installation is very easy. So this website has on-off buttons for these extensions. And if you click the on-off button, it will just install the install and run the plugin. That's actually quite good. Well, it works with Firefox and the GNOME web browser. I don't know whether it works with Chrome. And if that doesn't float your boat, you might want to have a look at the GNOME Tweak tool, which, well, incorporates easy access to many changes that people are likely to make or wanting to make. One of them is being placing folders or links on your desktop, because that's what was got rid of with the GNOME 3. But people said, well, I still want to, have, I don't know, a file on my desktop that I want to click. If you want that, then start the tweak tool, enable that switch, and off you go. And there's many things. It's actually very rich, the tweak tool. So where do we come from? The GNOME 3 effort was firstly, or the GNOME 3 idea was firstly presented in 2008 at our annual conference, GUADEC, the GNOME Users and Developers Conference, back in the day in Turkey. So you see, we go to interesting places. We've been to The Hague, to Turkey, and next year, or this year rather, we will go to Strasbourg. So if you happen to be in the area, consider to join. It's usually a free conference, and you're more than welcome to join. And it'll be end of July, right? So Strasbourg, end of July. And who knows, maybe there will be GNOME 4 on display, or what will become GNOME 4. So if you're curious, consider to go. So we've come a long way anyway, since 2008. It's 2014 now. So this makes it 6 years old. So it's not as immature as you might think, right? But still, GNOME 3.12 is not the end, right? GNOME 3 is the whole thing, and GNOME 3.12 is just another iteration in the efforts to bring, well, easy access to computers to as many people as possible. So how did we arrive there, actually? We sure do need to make releases, right? We have this discussion here for OpenSUSE about how to make releases. And there's different schools of releasing, right? And you could, well, go for quality-based releases. That is, you don't want to have open blocker bugs, say. You only release when every bug you consider, well, very important is fixed. Or you can go for, well, we just release every 6 months no matter what, or every 12, whatever. And we just, well, dump the Git code and throw it over the wall and make the release. Or you have a kind of a plan and say, well, I want to get these features working satisfyingly enough, and then throw the code over the wall. And so how do we do it? If we look at our history, we've been pretty stable, impressively stable actually. So we've had every 6 months we had a release, which I think is good, not only for us but also for the ISVs who ship GNOME, because they, well, can rely on GNOME shipping every 6 months. And actually this has been shortened for brevity reasons, but it's been that while for quite a while now. So also the next release will then, following that logic, be due end of September. So this pretty much makes a 6-month cycle, right? And this is, well, it has its advantages, but also disadvantages. And because it's not only good to have the cycle based on time, because users do not want, well, the users do not expect the news to be, well, 6 months have passed, there's a release, right? This is not exciting. They want something more. And that more is, well, in our case, a strong feature-based focus. So before we plan a release, there's a discussion about what shall actually go into that release. And then the community decides what, well, shall go in this cycle or the next, or the one after next, or, well, somewhen. While having these features, there's always the possibility that this can go wrong, right? A feature cannot be completed in time. There's this possibility. So we try to have a plan in case, well, the feature is not ready yet. And in fact, we had that several times that we planned a feature to go in, but it wasn't ready, so we needed to drop it. So we do have a strong focus on timely releases, like regular releases, but we do not follow that purely. We mix that with, well, quality-based and feature-based approaches. So we do have a list of blocker bugs as well before we release, and we try to address these bugs before we make the release. And we have several, well, beta releases if you want. And, well, hopefully shaking out all the bugs that are still there that we want to address before making the release. We have a good wiki page on that, so if you're interested, in our way of releasing things. You can find it on the GNOME wiki. I think it's even gnome.org/start/unstable, I think, and then you get to the schedule of how we plan to do things. Like there's a calendar and there's releases and things we need to address and all that. So yeah, as I've said, only following 6 month cycle is just too boring, right? The news shouldn't be that, well, users use the new release, 6 months have passed. That shouldn't be in the announcement. So with that, we were able to release GNOME 3.12 March 26th, making it like 4 weeks ago. And we have produced an awesome video for the release showing the essential features and also having the lovely voice of Karen Sandler. Let's try to start the video.
GNOME 3.12 is due to be released on March 26th. We'll
Can you
be
hear?
looking at an overview of some of the exciting things you'll see in the new release. 3.12 comes with a lot of polish to GNOME Shell and a number of new features to GNOME applications. And there's also good news for developers out there. 3.12 brings speed. For starters, GNOME Shell loads faster and uses fewer resources, which is great because this allows your computer to focus on what is most important, applications. This release also brings improvements to many applications, as well as a new way to organize your apps, with custom application folders which can be created easily with GNOME Software. Software itself has also received a major overhaul, with many new exciting features. Many applications are now shipping screenshots and star ratings, which give you a good overview of the variety in your search results. It's now also possible to change software sources, update manually, and search with increased performance along with many other improvements. GNOME 3.12 also brings a new Gedit with an overhauled user interface. The new minimalistic user interface helps you focus on the task at hand while preserving all the features you need in a text editor. Videos have similarly gained new space along with new features. Through videos, it is now possible to browse your local library and watch videos in the new playback view. Also, browsing through streaming videos from a number of web services is now possible directly from the new slick user interface. With web, browsing content on the internet is now also possible much more elegantly. Finding a website you visited before or downloading content to your computer has aesthetically improved to enhance your experience without getting in the way of your work. In this release, there are also a few totally new applications. Sound Recorder is now here to meet your audio recording needs, while Logs helps you monitor the state of your computer via the systemd journal. All this and many more updates have happened to applications, all part of the 3.12 release. The under-the-hood effort on making GNOME Shell run natively on Wayland continues. At present, primary functionality, display configuration, and color management are implemented and included in the Wayland preview ship with GNOME. For future releases, work is currently being done to better support different types of input, clipboard support, and startup notifications. For developers, we have quite a lot of news as well. GNOME 3.12 includes many improvements that will make it easier to integrate your app with GNOME and other desktop environments. Improvements have been made to various APIs, primarily the G-subprompt API, which has become a lot more powerful, and G-notifications, which has received a whole new API for desktop notification support. GTK3 has also received new components, such as the GTK Flowbox, GTK Action Bar, and GTK Popover. These will give you new possibilities for creating a great user experience and make your app that much more awesome. Alongside the new internal changes, the documentation that you rely on has also received an overhaul in look as well as in content. These changes aim at increasing your productivity, just like the new search provider for your favorite terminal command. Overall, GNOME 3.12 brings a lot of exciting new features to the table. Once again, improving our favorite desktop environment and everything that comes with it. If you want to be a part of our efforts towards GNOME, join us here. We look forward to helping you get started. My name is Karen Sandler, and thanks for watching.
Right. Oh, sorry for the quality. It's the best we could come up. So this video is due to Bastian Ilso, a young talented hacker from Denmark. I'm very proud of that video, actually. I think it's been very nicely produced. So this is GNOME 3.12, well, in short. we've had roughly 1,200 people contributing changes, 35,000 changes that is, roughly. And well, this includes translations though, but still. Oh, actually, if there's success stories to GNOME, it'd be translations and accessibility. We have strong translation communities, and they actually pull amazing things off, like translating 20% of all the strings in just a day or so. Unfortunately, the Croatian translation statistics is not as good as other ones, so if you happen to speak well Croatian and if you want to engage, that would be an opportunity to help. So the most visible things for GNOME 3.12 is probably the GNOME Software application. That is, well, the way to install and remove and update applications. There's a large effort due to Richard use to, well, get statistics and screenshots and descriptions for pretty much, well, not every application, but for many, many applications. And it's a big effort, and well, it's very, very crazy amount of work. It was really cool. High DPI support, also very exciting, as there's new hardware coming on the market with resolutions that are way higher than what we're traditionally used to. This one has, I actually don't fully know what resolution this one has, something like 1300 times 800 or so. But these Chromebook Pixels have like at least 4 times as much or so. And so if you have new hardware, you will be able to use GNOME properly on that, or it will look nicely. Also, we're trying to incorporate new technologies like Wayland, so you will be able to, well, use GNOME acceptably well on Wayland now, which is exciting because this is the way forward. And if you don't trust me, right, that GNOME 3.12 is awesome, you might trust others who have reviewed GNOME 3.12, and they said something like GNOME 3.12 pixel perfect. GNOME 3 has finally arrived. Well, stating that this would be, well, probably the best GNOME 3 release so far, and it's probably, well, I think it's true, right? And high resolution screens are best managed under GNOME 3.12, or this is the GNOME release I've been waiting for. So people are very excited, unusually excited about this release. So if you haven't tried GNOME 3 in a while, try GNOME 3.12. It's probably the most advanced release we've managed to bring out so far. So what does it actually look like, right? You're all excited now and you want to see what it looks like. This is how it does. So this is the GNOME software, which, well, as the rest of GNOME, is elegant. It tries to not provide, well, it tries to be unintrusive in a way that there's clear buttons and clear functionality, and it's clear what you can do with it. And as you see, you get screenshots, descriptions, ratings, and this is a large effort, well, to do that for many packages there are, right? This is a new videos application. If you're used to Totem, this is what it will look like, and it'll be designed for videos. There's a separate music applications now, but this one is the video one. You see again, it's a slick interface. It does not try to overhaul you with buttons and things to click on. There's high DPI support, as I've said. You can see on the left-hand side, there's the old version, which did not support high DPI properly, and on the right-hand side, you see it's much more smooth. I hope you can see that. There's Wayland support, so when you log in, you have the option to, well, try Wayland, and as I've said, it works reasonably well. There's a web, and in the background there's a gedit. If you haven't tried web in a while, well, it used to be named Epiphany, and it's based on WebKit, so it's quite decent. It's similar to, say, Safari on the Mac, or to some extent Chromium. And they've got cool, well, as they are based on WebKit, and WebKit is progressing like on a very high pace. This brings many new features. And if you haven't tried it in a while, give it a try. It's actually not as bad as it used to be. It makes a pretty decent day-to-day browser, really. We have maps and geolocation support now. So this is the maps application using OpenStreetMaps, you can see. And we have the location indication in the systems menu. And there's actually efforts to use open routing services to enable you to plan your route and all. That's quite exciting. And there's many more tiny improvements to GNOME 3.12 that hopefully make your day-to-day computing experience much better. And again, if you haven't tried GNOME 3 in a while, give GNOME 3.12, give that a try. But that's not the end, right? I mean, we haven't reached all our goals yet. And we do plan for GNOME 3.14, which is due end of September, as I've said. And so far, the most amazing things that we plan to do are probably using systemd for the user session, getting rid of more code in our stack, because reducing code on our side is good, right? Makes it more maintainable, makes it easier to use, not only for us, but also for others. And, well, the GNOME user session was always a bit of a hack, as it cannot track the session reliably, or as reliable as lower level system components can. Another thing we have been planning for a while is color tinting. That helps to make free software much more accessible for people. And as I've said, one of the success stories of GNOME is accessibility. So I think we lead the discussion in terms of bringing software to the people, and bringing software to all the people, or to as many people as possible, especially those who are not physically as capable as, say, I am, or as the most of us are. And color tinting would be a way, and as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, it would be the only way for free software to help those who have an impaired vision. So if we pull that off, we would but still and further advance GNOME's strong position in bringing software to even, more people, as I've said. We have, we try to have Zimbra integration to the desktop, mainly Evolution, the email client that is. Zimbra is a groupware, so we will not only be able to connect to Colab and Exchange, but then also to Zimbra. And I'm very excited to see Evolution gaining that capability. In fact, Evolution is another thing that has tremendously changed over the last years. So I actually started my GNOME career with Evolution, coding on Evolution. And it used to be very messy. The code has lots of technical depth, as it is probably the oldest GNOME module. It's probably still messy, but way less messy than it used to be. And that also, the interface also reflects that. So if you have used Evolution a couple of years ago and, think it's not very good, give it a try now. It's gotten very much better now. And thanks to all these people and many, many more who made this possible. GNOME is about people, after all. So as I've said, we're also a community. We try to be happy with ourselves, happy with our users. Say it again.
I see one guy 10 times.
Is it? Who is it?
Red shirt with the fancy
Oh, right.
No, that's
Maybe.
the red one is very prominent.
Yeah.
Right, maybe. I actually don't know who that is.
That's an NSA spot.
So for the actual changed applications that we have, because, expectation management, right? So you have used your gedit for the last 5 years, and this is what it will look like now. It's been overhauled. There's a slicker interface.
I screamed when I first saw that.
Fair enough. This is a gedit 3.12. You see fewer buttons, allowing you to concentrate on editing your text, your documents, after all.
It's not that bad, actually. Once you use it, but yeah.
Basic idea that fewer buttons makes things better.
You exit with colon X.
This is photos. So I think it's a JavaScript application, even one of the few new JavaScript applications we have. So it's quite young, and as always, it can still need some attention. So if you are curious to hack on a JavaScript application, that might be one of them. Similarly, we have videos, which I've said is the new totem. It, well, looks different, but it also allows you, or not only does it look different, but it also allows you to use streaming providers straight from the interface. So in this case, it's a BBC thing, I think. Another new exciting application is Polari. It's also a JavaScript application. It should become the IRC, or, well, group chat application at some stage. We have web, as I've said. It's quite good, and it has interesting features such as a private mode that you can start from the command line. Like I often use web-p, which gives me a private session, and I know I can click all that from the Firefox and all, but I think for me it's much more comfortable to just fire it up Epiphany-p. There we go. And it's well, again, it's quite good. It's very fast. It's a good, decent browser, good day-to-day browser. The journal viewer, essentially, log viewer. Now that we finally, after like 20 years, have structured logging information from Linux, we can use that and display it in a structured manner, which is well, very nice. Also a very, very young application, but not written JavaScript, I think. So what makes all of that, right? So we've presented GNOME and what it is and what it looks like. But how do we focus on what we do? Why do we do that? So as I've said multiple times, we want to bring free software to as many people as possible. And that also includes to be as usable as possible, to enable everyone to grasp the concepts, well, even if they don't have experience with computing. And we want to make it, well, as pleasant as possible to use the computer, because we think that people do not actually like to sit in the computer because they like to sit on the computer, but because they, well, need to do it because they want to get things done. So we want to, well, enable them to do that as efficiently and as nicely as possible. And, well, how do we achieve that? We try to be very strong in things like localization, internationalization, accessibility, so that everybody can use that. We try to not single out a group of people only because they cannot speak English, for example, or only because they cannot type with two hands, because for some reason they just don't have two hands, right? So we try to, well, incorporate everything that makes it possible, or that enables as many people as possible to actually use free software. Because we actually believe in freedom. So who can list the 4 essential freedoms that the GPL guarantees? Anyone? Freedom to change is one, right? Freedom to distribute, right? That's another one. Right, that's not one of the, well, modify the software to your needs and distribute that modified version is freedom number 3 in that case. But there's another, or probably the most essential one, freedom number 0, actually to run the program for any purpose you have. So we believe in all those freedoms. And we believe that, well, enabling people in the first place to make use of the software is as important. So we try to be as inclusive as possible. And again, GNOME's people, as I've said, we have like 1,200 people working on the release. So I think it's a rather big effort, a big joint effort, and I'm happy for our community exists, and I'm happy for our community to, well, produce this software that hopefully makes the world a better place. And we allocated, well, this map is a bit old, unfortunately, but it gives an overview of our distribution, right? Our people sit in all these places. It could be more, right? So, there's no shortage of opportunities to help out, that's it. If you want to engage, I invite you. And, well, ideally this map would be full of people who contribute to GNOME, right? So with that, I want to close and I want to invite questions. Thank you very much. Over there. Do we have a second one? Maybe not.
Okay, how about touch screens and gesture support?
So gestures are a, well, bit of a lower level thing, right? And as far as I'm aware, GTK does support gestures, but I think the applications do need to make use of that. I'm not the technical person to talk to for gestures, though. And I'm not aware of any efforts to actually, well, have gestures of any kind in the GNOME 3 experience. But that might change. I'm not aware of, all the things that people are planning. Obviously, I mean, with 1,200 people, it's a bit tough to follow all that. But if you have plans, you're more than welcome to, propose things, right? And we have the designers who take care of the design, and I'm sure they would listen to your ideas and discuss these, right? Oh.
Okay. I just want to ask about technical questions. So, but you already said that you are not a technical guy, but I will like to answer to him because I'm using GTK and Qt. But my basic question is, do you guys from GNOME communicate with the guys from GTK?
Is that all your question?
That's starting question.
Well, the answer is yes.
Yes, okay, now I will answer to him. Yes, they put GTK gestures in GTK 3, but it's me as developer, I always have problem with GTK and GNOME. I feel that I always missing something there. When I look to Qt, when I look to Mac AIP, there is always something what is different, but not different in meaning of user, but meaning for me as developer that I have to type much more code to get same result as with Qt library or something like that. For example, in GTK 3, you have GTK entry. You know what is basic widget, GTK entry. In Windows AP, in Qt, in Mac, you can put any object inside that GTK entry. In GTK 3, you can put only GTK image. So I'm asking why? Who's designer of such an idea? Why I cannot put button, for example, inside GTK entry? And that is my point. Why I'm always missing something when I'm developing with GTK. Yes, I would like to involve myself in GTK development. I want things to be clear and I want things to be nice for developers. To make GTK entry with button inside, I need to write at least 500 lines of code. And it doesn't attract me as developer to write some application for GNOME. I hope that I was clear about it. It's basic problem. While applications are okay, it looks nice and everything, at the roots, in the roots, there is a problem with design of the library. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. That said, the GTK folks could sure need some help. As far as I'm aware, there's a handful of people are working on GTK itself on a regular basis, which is, of course, that could be improved, say. And I wouldn't be surprised if your issue was only due to the lack of people actually making it happen.
It's a general problem in design. When you make some library which will be used on Windows, on Mac, on Linux, it doesn't matter if the buttons yes and no are on the opposite sides, but the basic controls like GTK entry it's T-edit control in Delphi, it's NSView on Mac, it's Qline edit in Qt. They work in the same way. You have to type some text inside. As help, you can have button inside, whatever that button is. I mean, it can clear search filter, but in GTK, it's not button, it's GTK image. I mean, I have no freedom to make it work like I want. Like I can do that on other operating systems, on other GUI widget sets, etc., etc. That is what I want and I would like to change because I like GTK and I'm still using GTK 1. And I said to SUSE people, please don't remove it from distribution. So that's the point. The low level must be changed somehow. It must be friendly for developers, and then it will be easier to attract people to coding in GTK and for GNOME. Thanks.
Well, thank you for your comments. There's also the possibility that GTK is not just the right library, right? I mean, it's not particularly, well, it probably does not try to address each and every use case. That's it, right? There's a certain...
I'm talking about
right.
general use case.
So this is a shameless plug. If anyone wants to use the lovely GNOME 312 that you've got there, in OpenSUSE you have two ways of doing it now. We have the GNOME stable repository in OBS, which we've tested and works on 13.1. My only word of advice is don't use it if you want to have that and KDE, because we had to update UPower and we break KDE in the process. Or if you want to use it with Tumbleweed, that went live yesterday. So there's two ways of getting GNOME 3.12 in OpenSUSE 13.1, but for 13.2 we're going to be using GNOME 3.14 because you fit perfectly with our schedule.
Okay, that was good news for myself, but then I also have to support some people who are not so computer savvy. What distro do I install on an old XP machine I get into my hand or something like that? Because I think OpenSUSE might be a bit too technical for them, and Ubuntu might be the perfect match, but then of course with old hardware you don't want to do that, so that might be, and the target group should be there, but what distro do I use?
Linux Mint, Cinnamon, it's GNOME 3. Linux Mint, Cinnamon. No, I just...
Okay, the answer was use Mint.
Yes, and Mint,
Okay.
desktop, it's GNOME 2, it's very nice, it's light, no bones inside, it works. On all machines, definitely.
Okay. And maybe a question for myself. But personally, especially with my server guy hat on it, I think 80 times 25 is fine, and ICBM is luxury. You talked about 3D accelerated graphics and usability in one sentence. I typically talk about 3D accelerated graphic and eye candy. Personally, of course, eye candy is important for some target groups, but not for me. I use computers without eye candy. So what can you really do in usability with accelerated graphics?
Right, thanks for that. And actually missed to address that point. And you're absolutely right. We used to have this flood of eye candy, 3D accelerated eye candy with the compass thing, right? I think it was around 2009 or whenever it was. And everybody was having their cubes and their windows burning in flames. And I don't know, I've just seen Bruno downstairs having half transparent, wiggly windows and all that. We are not doing that. We are, like, the 3D we use is actually quite innumerable. It's not trying to be fancy, it's trying to be useful. And in our case, when you start the activities overview, you actually, well, what you see is the windows grouping in the activities overview. And then if you leave the activities overview, you see the windows going back where they were. And in that case, you know, you see what the windows are, where they came from, so you can, well, spot these windows more easily that you want to close or change to, or that you want to move to another desktop. So it's not about having windows in flames or half-transparent wobbly windows when you move them. It's about, well, enabling you to use your computer more efficiently. So this is one of the examples. And it's not that much, right? It's not that much of 3D stuff we do, only where we think it makes sense.
And there's extensions to make it less difficult.
Right. And again, there's this, I was about to say classic mode, the flashback mode, which is a bunch of extensions that, well, give you a traditional experience.
We're still calling it classic.
Fair enough. Then there's GNOME Classics, right? All right, anything else? All right, thank you so much. I'll be around anyway for the rest of the conference. All right. I usually don't bite, so you may feel very free to just approach me.
If anybody has any GTK question, I can answer.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Good, thank you guys.